Connor, Jay, Tyler. Long ago, the three hosts lived in harmony, posting videos that no one saw, and nothing happened. But I believe you can save the channel. Wah, wah, wah. Anyways, yeah, so we're doing an Avatar episode. Welcome to the Reboot Roundtable. I am your host, Connor. I am joined as always by Jay and Tyler, who I can tell want to just execute me right now. And this is the 20 to 30 minute podcast where we talk reboots, rewrites, and sequels to classic fictional franchises. How are you two doing today?
Hey, Tyler here.
How was that actually funnier than my really bad joke? That's insane.
Because yours was too played up.
I'm doing great.
That's
How are
rough,
you guys?
buddy.
That's rough, buddy. Honestly. Yeah, it is rough.
I'm not doing great. Don't let me lie.
I'm doing awesome, actually. I'm having
my
a great
girlfriend
time.
turned into the moon. All right, so we're going to be making these jokes, but we're not even talking about Avatar, the main series.
I can't talk to women.
We're pitching a Legend of Korra rewrite. But that being said, before we dive into how much fun that's going to be, we got to plug the things. So please leave a like and a subscription to the channel.
Or else.
It feels weird to ask, but, do it for the Zuko character arc, which is so good. We all loved it.
Excuse me.
He deserves the
Connor,
world.
don't
So
use
much more.
Zuko to plug the podcast. He's
Hey,
be
Zuko
better.
Here.
Hey, Zuko here. So there's no
We
Zuko
all
here.
know that Toph is
No
the
Dante
best
Bosco.
character.
No, not
Okay,
here.
but before we
Anyways,
get started, who's the best character in Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Uncle Iroh?
Obviously Toph.
Obviously, Iroh. Okay, well,
Wow. I mean,
it's
he's
okay.
second place,
Toph isn't a
but
bad
Toph-
character.
That's insane.
Toph based
We're
on-
not gonna. This will start a civil war, and we're not doing civil wars
I'm
yet.
sorry. No, I love
It's too
Iroh.
early.
He's
It's too early for a
he is
civil war.
definitely
And
the
Toph's
best
great.
character.
That's great.
But
So,
Toph is second place.
Leaves from the vine. Let's all have a cry. And let's. So
Oh,
this
don't bring that
episode.
up.
Yeah. So this episode, I want to start something I'm planning on doing throughout the Reboot Roundtable its existence, where I'm going to go season by season of Korra and do my rewrites for it. And so this episode will be season 1 of The Legend of Korra, my personal rewrite. And so first off, what is your all's experience with Avatar and Legend of Korra specifically?
I've seen it all. I've been here since the beginning.
Was there when it was written, and I will be there when it dies.
Yes.
I have watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. I know a lot about the original Avatar. I know next to nothing about Korra.
Really? I know a show we gotta watch later.
Yeah, you keep saying that. You've said that for 2 years. Never happened.
I know. This is true. But I feel like that's every friendship anybody has. They're like, hey, we'll watch this show. Never do.
I don't think
Anyways,
that's
so
fair.
we're going to dive into it, and I'm going to actually kind of pull a Jabali card where we're going to go with chronological story-wise. And I'm going to kind of go episode by episode and talk about the changes being made to each one. And at the end of it, you all can decide if it sounds like a slightly improved series. Now, my rules I put on myself were to make as little changes as possible so that each of the following seasons wouldn't have to change a ton to fit these changes. So, episode 1, Welcome to Republic City. So, I would start the whole series with a brand new scene that would be completely fresh. We would see an old Aang lying in his deathbed. We wouldn't really get much. We'd focus the camera on him. We'd clearly see it's Aang. And we'd get a quick little dialogue between him and Katara and just kind of like a see on the other side kind of thing. And we zoom in on Aang. We get a loud last breath. Aang's eyes close. We see the bright glow of the Avatar state. And our eyes open to a young baby Korra being born.
Oh, that transition could be so cool. I can imagine like the last breath of Aang, and like as it
Yes.
happens, the like screen like closes, like eyes blinking, and then like when the eyes open back up, they're like white Avatar state.
Zoom out, baby Korra.
He goes as Avatar state as a toddler. That's a problem, right?
Well, the thing is, we already know, like, Korra was, like, in the original version, Korra's already insane as a toddler. So, it's totally fine, and I think it's a better introduction to her being, like, this just much more, like, warrior avatar if we
She
don't
came
show
out the womb
toddler.
bending 3 of the
Yeah.
4 elements.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
So, it's one of those things where I don't want to show that scene again, because that scene's kind of not great. I think it'd be better to do this somber goodbye to Aang, hello Korra. Then we would get the big title screen. We would, at this point, get Tenzin's introduction, which I would want expanded a little bit more. We go into my father beat the Fire Nation, and him and his friends were able to reunite the world and formed Republic City, a place where benders and non-benders of all walks of life can come together. But turmoil is on the horizon, and I believe Korra can help us all. Da 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 da, and so on and so forth. So we then start basically how the first episode starts from there on. We see her mid-practice. She's doing firebending, earthbending, and waterbending. And I want us to see some more creative bending style, but there's not really like an easy way to explain that in this. Just imagine John Wick style bending, because that's a trend I like, is more intense combat in that regard.
I actually like the more like spaced out bending fights from like the original Avatar.
Agree.
Because close range bending doesn't make a lot of sense unless you're like off with the earth golem or the earth armor. Like it doesn't make sense for like a waterbender to punch.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So my thoughts on that is, one hand, I think the combat in the Korra show already looks really way visually more appealing. I think the issues is they lose the distinction between each bending type, and you get way too much dumb slow-mo. So I think if you just got rid of some of the slow motion and like just kept the new animation speed and like the actual like intensity of those fights, yeah.
I'm like 70% sure that they use like actual like styles of whatchamacallit.
Martial arts?
Yes, martial arts. And that is the reason why like they fight the way they do.
Well, they did in I know for sure in Atla, but with Korra what they wanted to do is they wanted each element to feel like it's merged a little bit with the others. So like there's new styles that have come from these styles working together. I love in concept, but I want it still seen as a bit of a distinction. But that's separate to the actual
It's been a while since I've seen the fights,
so yeah, so we see Korra practicing with the other benders, and we zoom out and we see it's again just like the first episode. Katara sitting there watching it with the other members of the White Lotus. We'll even let Katara get her, she's strong, and the White Lotus members like yeah, clearly she's kicking butt. And we just kind of get the first episode for that until Tenzin arrives. But this time, Tenzin arrives to train like Korra, like he's prepared. A reminder of who Tenzin is, that is the son of Aang, who's an airbender, who is voiced by, what is his name? Crap, Omni-Man's voice actor. I can't think of his name now.
Mark Hamill.
That is not Omni-Man's voice actor.
Wow, you totally threw me with that one.
It's Jack Black.
Now that you've said Mark Hamill.
It's Jack Black.
Oh, 1 second. It's J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right. So J.K. Simmons.
Yes, that guy.
Yeah. So we have J.K. Simmons. Tenzin's back. But so Tenzin shows up, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll get training in the morning." And at night, we even see Korra like kind of wondering to herself. She's like, "I've never been spiritually like in tune. Maybe I'm not going to be a good airbender." And then news arrives. Republic City's in turmoil. Tenzin needs to go back and be like one of the members of the council. And he's like, yeah, Republic City's in a mess. Korra, you stay here. I'll train you when I get a chance. Of course, it's like the original show. Korra's like, that's some bullcrap. I'm going to go run away. And Katara stops her and is like, yeah, you go run away. But like, here, take some food and stuff. Like, don't go out there into the middle of nowhere alone. And also, obviously, keep Naga. Naga is a cute companion animal. I like Polar Bear Dog. I think it's a cool character.
I think we need to see more Naga. I don't think we see
Oh, yeah. 100% assume half these scenes get more Naga in it.
Cool.
Just assume Naga's hanging in the background. Same with when Pabu, the little fire ferret, shows up. Also imagine he's more and more scenes.
Like, I just feel like the animals, like, even in The Last Airbender, like, they weren't doing stuff all the time, but they were there.
They were there, yeah. They were always part of the team. Holy shit, I just punched my microphone.
He said they were part of the team.
Boom. All right, so yeah, we see Korra take off. We see her like sneak aboard a ship. We get the creepy Korra smile, which if you've never seen, I actually never noticed it until the channel Overanalyzing Avatar talked about it. But Korra does this really creepy smile in season 1 all the time, and it's super freaky. Google it later. It's really upsetting. But yeah, so we see Korra on the ship. She gets to Republic City. And my big changes for Republic City is immediately we should feel the divide between benders and non-benders. It's not a thing of where anyone is being maliciously anti-bender or anti-non-bender. It's just, hey, you have advantages I don't, so, like, screw you. You know what I mean? Like, it's very much that mindset. And so when Korra shows up, she sees somebody robbing someone. She sees some benders just bullying non-benders. Not even like robbing them. It's just even just like a, hey, you know what? I like this apple. You're going to give it to me for free because I can burn your house down. Korra gets involved, but we see that because she doesn't have any like training in the modern world, she goes overboard with it. Like she's fighting like an avatar of years past. Leaves a mess. Metalbender police show up, they arrest her, and we get everything with Chief Beifong is the exact same. Because Chief Beifong is an amazing character, and she's a fun character to be the daughter of Toph. Everything with Chief Beifong is the same. She's frustrated by Korra, and like it's just like, stop. Why are you in my city? Tenzin, get her out of my city. Korra then's like, hey, no, you guys clearly need the Avatar. The world is not in balance. At least in this city. I need to help. And so you'll have Tenzin be like, you know what? No, you've got a point. Like, that's something my dad would have done. And I think that's the thing I really want to set up is the theme of Korra at first tries to just be Aang, but she has to learn she's not. She's not going to heal people like Aang did. She's going to beat them up and fix the problem. Because she's an active, like, she's kind of like a, she's a hammer and Aang was more of a dagger, if you will, for solving problems. And I want to really emphasize that. And like, she'll have to grow at first. Like, she wants to be the dagger. She realizes she's not. So she tries to embrace the hammer. And then she learns that she can be a mix of both and use it at the right time. Being very much a Avatar Kyoshi of the modern age, for lack of a better reference.
Mm-hmm.
So as we dive into it, we see Korra arrive at the Air Temple. I like Tenzin's kids. I think they are a little too annoying in the original show, but I'd mostly keep them the same. And you set up this like big sister vibe for Korra and the kids. That's another thing I would set up is so our first episode, well, it'd be our second episode. We see Tenzin begin to teach Korra airbending and she sucks at it. Just like in the original show, doesn't have a clue what's going on with it. Doesn't spiritually get it. Pretty much all that episode's the same. We get introduced to the pro bending team, Mako and Bolin. They will get some character changes, but we'll come back to them in a second. But overall, like, episode 2, pretty much the same again. But also, I want Tenzin's kids to have snuck off with Korra to join the pro bending thing. Not like to join the team, but to be kind of like groupies that tag along. Just because I actually enjoy them. At the end of episode 2, she fights in pro bending with the other two. Learns that that's how she's going to learn airbending, is she has to actually be in a fight to learn it. Another thing, set up some actual pro bending rules. I know they exist, but make them more clear for the audience so that we can actually know what's going on. Episode 3 and onward, we get introduced to the Equalists. My big changes to the Equalists is they have a point. Some benders are abusing the power, some benders aren't. And I think the important thing as the audience is that you see both sides, but you're also neither side is right or wrong until one side pushes it too far. With Mako and Bolin, since we'd be seeing more of them at this point, I would make Mako less of like the, I'm a cool, edgy guy. And no, like he's genuinely traumatized. Like that's his thing, is he's super overprotective of his brother because his parents were killed by non-benders. And so what we set up is Mako is scared of non-benders, despite being this trained bender of like firebending. Bolin is still a goofy idiot, but you make Bolin's other thing be that like he will not abandon his brother even if his brother's making bad decisions. And so we set up this kind of dichotomy where Asami shows up and she's a non-bender and she and Mako have this relationship that's clearly very toxic, but it's because they both hate what each other are. They both hate that I'm a bender and you're a non-bender, and they hate each other for it. And that's kind of Asami's arc as well. So you get this dichotomy of Mako has to learn that not all non-benders hate benders, and Asami has to learn not all benders are evil people. With the rest of the season, a lot of it's going to go to the same, except again, focus on the Equalists having a point, and focus on Korra having to learn you can't just punch every problem, despite that being in her nature. With the actual Equalist movement, we do the same thing with Amon. He still does the blood bending stuff, still takes people's bending away, and all of this is just pretty much handled the same. Team Avatar still forms, Asami's dad is still evil, but we also leave this idea in the audience's mind that Asami might be part of the Equalist movement. And we leave that kind of just lingering there for most of season 1. at the end of the season, or at midway through the season, we still have the evil governor guy, Tarnok. I don't remember what his name was, but he's oh my goodness. Whew. My room is so hot. I'm actually losing my breath here.
Ever heard of a window, buddy?
That's crazy.
I need to turn on a fan, but it's fine. I'll finish the episode. I'm making points here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's been 15 minutes of me basically nonstop. Give me your guys' thoughts where we're at right now at the midpoint, so I can get a drink of water.
I didn't know you were just gonna like keep barreling through. It's been crazy.
I wanted you all to stop me. I was hoping you all would.
I couldn't. You were going
Just
so
kept
well.
going. There was never a gap.
Like you were just spitting so many facts. I was just like, oh, like this is a good idea. This guy's cooking over here.
Yeah, can you tell I've thought this one through?
Not gonna lie, I thought you were just talking about the normal episodes of Korra, except just like some small changes as you went. I have not seen Korra.
For like a quarter of it, I was like, this is just the show, and I was like, wait, no, it's not. And that's when I honed in. But it has been like crazy. Like this is what I would expect from an actual like production of the show. Like,
yeah,
this is some like sketched up panels. Like, what do you guys think we should do in this scenario? Should we do option A or option B? And option B is Connor.
Then Connor, let me put my own 2 cents in. Something I think
I want all the 2 cents I can get.
Something I think that needs to be a recurring theme, not just in like episodes, but across the entire show, is that dynamic of, people obviously still know Aang. Because Korra is an early avatar after Aang.
Right, well, she's the very next avatar after Aang.
People still know of him, and that expectation is placed upon her early. Because Aang was kind of like him when it came to avatars. So that expectation is there of, oh, I'm the next one, I need to live up to his greatness. How do I do it? And I liked your idea a lot of her like having to learn that she can't do it the way he did.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that needs to be a theme that remains and slowly gets chipped away at, not just in the season, but in the show itself. Something that doesn't get resolved until the very end.
That's actually something I wanted to talk about when I was designing this rewrite. Which is, when Korra was originally released, season 1, they didn't think they were getting any more seasons. It had to be a self-contained story. And so when I was looking at rewriting it, I didn't want to break that idea. I wanted to trick myself and understand to myself, imagine this was all you were getting. And so to not ramble out as much in the details, the end of the show would be very similar, but it's just, I wouldn't kill Amon. Amon doesn't die, he gets locked in prison. He doesn't get to escape his crimes that easily. You don't have it where the Equalists were just bad guys. You actually have there be active change. And you set up that Asami is going to step up as a representative of the Equalist movement in the sense of, hey, this guy was insane, my dad was insane, but let's do what's right, because there are points to be made here.
So what you're saying is Osami leads the activists, but they're actually good people. They're not just villains.
Yeah. She's the voice of reason for them. She fully bought into the to that movement.
Okay, so they start out as villains.
Well, the Equalists are villains. It's like an extremist group. And I won't there are plenty of real world examples you can use where groups have extremist edges that are evil, but then the actual points they're making are good. And that's kind of the theme you want to play in here, where it's this mindset of Amon is an evil extremist idea, but Asami is able to get these people and say, hey, no, I'm a non-bender too. We can live in harmony with the benders. And you'll have Mako fill that role for the benders where he's like, hey, we fucked up, but let's all work together to find a balance. And it's a thing of where Korra has to learn, because she will indeed lose her bending for a time, learn to return bending to people. And her big thing is she's got to learn, I'm not going to heal people the way Aang did, but I still can do it. My only other big change is have the other avatars make more appearances in the show. In the original show, we see Aang only at the very end. And I do think we save the Aang reveals. Aang does not show up a lot, because Aang knows Korra has to learn these lessons. But I also don't think all the other avatars would agree with that. And so I think if you gave Korra this mindset where she learns who Kyoshi was, and have her start idolizing Kyoshi, because the Avatar fan community loves Kyoshi. I've only read a bit of the novel, and it is very well written. Kyoshi is a really cool character. I think making Korra this, like, she wants to be like Aang, but she sees herself in Kyoshi. And I think that could be a really good dynamic of she wants to be the dagger, but she knows she's a hammer. And she's got to learn to balance that.
That could be a really cool scene because she could be like, listen, girl, you know you're a hammer. You're an axe. You're a long sword. Like, you aren't the dagger you want to be. You aren't an arrow. You aren't stealthy. You aren't sly. You are powerful. But the world
are powerful
needs a
and
dagger
attractive.
right now. And, like, you being a hammer, that isn't going to do a dagger's job.
Yes. And that's why I think it's also important that, like, she could just kill Amon. But she also has to learn the Aang lesson of don't kill him, but not in a, oh, I'm doing this because I'm at peace with the universe. It's more like, you would cause more problems if I kill you, because then you would be a martyr. Because I think, yeah, you do age this series up with its audience. Like Korra is. It is a more mature, theme-wise, I won't even say theme-wise, vibe-wise, a more mature show.
That could be a really cool setup for later, for whenever they're in the prison with, I don't remember his name, but and he's like he breaks out because he's just like, whatever, I can do what I want.
Yeah, it's almost
like that could be a really cool moment to see Amon and like see him be like, should I leave? Like I could just walk out right now. And either he chooses to do that and just starts living like a normal life as a normal dude, or he doesn't. He's like, no, this is where I belong. Like for like all the like dark stuff I've done.
Yeah, it's almost like I'm setting things up for a sequel at some point.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like that could be a cool thing.
Yes, for sure. I definitely think Amon should at least make another appearance at some point in the show.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could also balance that with if she becomes a little bit of a Kyoshi fangirl, what would Kyoshi have done? Because Kyoshi would have killed him. 100, and that's a beautiful dynamic. Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's an important thing. I think would be interesting is Korra doesn't agree taking bending away is okay. For her, it's such a traumatizing experience to have her own bending taken that she won't even take the bending of a bad person. I think that sets up an amazing concept for her as like this. Yeah, I'm not crossing that line that Aang crossed, and that will set up where we get those flashbacks throughout the season. It's like she sees Aang take someone's bending away in these visions, and she's like, that's terrifying. And I think that's another thing. We play into like, Korra is so strong, but her psyche is so scared. Because she's been held in this compound all of her childhood, learning to be an avatar. She doesn't have any real world experience to handle all this stuff. I think the last thing is, and this is going to sound shocking from me, for the people who know me, no romance in season 1. Not a single romance.
Oh, you're
set
gross.
What?
I think that's one of the best parts of Avatar.
No, here's why. Let me explain myself here, okay?
Go ahead.
Season 1 of Korra, you get a really crappy romance between her and Mako, and we get the really crappy love triangle between her, Mako, and Bolin, and the Asami, Korra, that whole triangle. They're not well-written romances. And we know later on that the directors want to go with the Korra Asami route, and we're going to keep that because that's what's canonical.
It better. I support my lesbians. Pride Month, baby.
So I think though with season 1, you just set up everybody becoming friends. Season 2, you can dive into some romance if you want to, and that's where we can set up the groundwork for Korra Asami. Right now, we just need Korra, Asami, Mako, and Bolin to be close friends like Team Avatar was.
One thing I really want... Oh, sorry.
That's true. You just hate romances and stories. Just most of them. He says.
He's like, okay, maybe most of them.
That's wild.
What
What
about
about
Tangled?
Tangled? That's a great movie, actually.
That's an amazing movie. Have you seen Tangled, Jay? Did you like the?
Though it does have some creepy undertones. That's besides the point. We're getting off topic. Yeah.
Oh.
The last thing I really want to talk about why we have time is I want to talk about the technology of the Korra's timeline.
Oh, fun.
Because with the tech stuff, I'm fine with all the tech upgrades. I like that we're getting to this World War One vibe. I also agree that you shouldn't just add guns because that sounds way too dark too early,
Bending
right?
with
Like
guns.
bending with guns sounds really cool. Not season 1 of Korra, because there is like some World War themes later. I do think you keep the mechs. I think you keep the planes. I think you keep all of that. I think the big thing is tech-wise, though, we just set up more concrete rules.
I would look for the tech to be a little bit more basic, because like at the end of the show, they have like a giant mech.
Yeah,
that's like
that end of the show.
city.
That whole end of the show is a problem. But
Yeah,
with just
like-
season one I think's fine.
Yeah, because it's just to my knowledge, it's just the glove, right?
No, it's just the mechs. It's the
mechs.
early mechs, and
Yeah,
then
I like
planes.
the early
both.
mechs. I think
Yeah, the
they- I
early
think
mechs
they
are
work
so
really
cool
well.
looking.
And of course, the boats and planes. I mean, you need boats and planes. Like
Yeah.
whatever, that
Oh,
makes
adding
sense.
aircraft. Okay, that reminds me of another thing. The cameo from the voice actor of Zuko to play a young, like the grandson of Zuko.
Mhm.
Don't do that. Just make it Boomy. That is Aang's other child. I like the cameo, but we know that Boomy will become a major character later on, and Boomy makes an appearance at the end of the show. Just make it Admiral Boomy gets there, and also we get to see Korra get introduced to a different child of Aang that's very different, and we set that up in season 1 so that she can also be like, oh, yeah, Aang wasn't a stickler like Tenzin was. And also, yeah, set up the Tenzin Korra like mentor-mentee like connection much deeper.
I
'Cause
think
in-
you set it up too early, though. Like season 1 is really about like learning what's going on in the world. Who
Yeah.
is Korra? What does she stand for?
I think what I'm saying is set up some of these undertones more strongly.
I can see that. Yeah.
And I think the thing is too, I think we need at least one good Tenzin fight. We don't really get that in season 1. I think Tenzin deserves, like, there's a couple good fights with Tenzin, like right before he gets captured, because he's like the only one of the leaders who doesn't. Because Tenzin's awesome. Tenzin,
Like-
Tenzin's probably my favorite character in Korra. Big shocker, because I
would
love
even be
mentors.
If he just like completely destroys whoever he's fighting, like he's like fighting like 8 firebenders and he just destroys all.
You
I'm
remember
okay
the-
with that.
Remember
I
the
wanna see
mustache
him
guy? So like Amon has the weird mustache dude who like follows him around
Oh!
everywhere.
Yeah.
Make that guy more dangerous. That's the guy who Tenzin gets to beat.
Oh, dude, wait, that'd actually be really easy. You could make him like really buff. And
Well,
just be, like he would
I'm
just
telling
look,
no. I
he'd
keep you.
look
I think you
normal.
keep him lean. I think you keep him. I think you make him like a Ty Lee vibe, even more so.
Mm.
Not like personality wise, but in a sense of like he is that
Ideally.
fast. Like he's so fast, he's dodging airbender attacks.
That could be cool.
And then oh yeah, we need a little bit more reference to what happened to Sokka. But I also like that they've left
Agreed.
it up in the air. I think all you just imply a bit more is that Sokka was part of the White Lotus. That's all you get season 1. I have
We need to
ideas of what
imply
you get
that
more.
Sokka was a badass is what we need to imply.
Well, and I think like the idea of like he took over the White Lotus after Iroh, that is some implications on how good he is, you know? Yeah, I really think that's my summary for season 1. My big thing is just tie in more of just the actual dynamic, really focusing more on like the philosophy, which is what I think the original Avatar series was so good at. Was the morality and the philosophy and the idea of more of like what is right and wrong and how do we handle that. Make the characters not focus as much on drama and make them focus on actual connections. And above all else, like let it grow up with the Avatar audience, but also don't lose that goofiness. Because I know a lot of people like forget that the original Avatar series is really good also because of some of the goofy moments. Like the show would not be the same without the goofy moments, which we saw in both live action remakes. Parts of the show are fine. The live action show is fine. But like they lose a lot of the goofiness that makes Avatar Avatar. And you got to remember the goofiness.
Honestly, I think the first season, to get off a little bit of track, I think the
Yeah.
first season of the live action show is really just to like show us the universe because people were so scared it was going to be bad.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna go for more goofy stuff now, and it's gonna be good. I'm excited for the second season.
I liked a lot of it. It's a thing I do want to talk about at some point on something recorded. I do want to do a talk about it because I have a lot of thoughts. But yeah, so that is my pitch for Legend of Korra season 1 rewrite. Do y'all have any other thoughts to add before we diddly do out of here?
I do.
Yes.
Can we add some more pro bending? I really like that.
Yes. Pro bending should be like Quidditch, where there is like rules, and it should be a common theme throughout the whole first season.
Cool. I think the first season it should be light. I get that. I think that'd be cool as long as the next couple seasons it's like more involved.
Yeah.
I think it would be a cool second season kind of thing. Like first season, they're like, yeah, we're pro benders. That's what we do. And she goes and she supports them. And then second season, she's like romantically falling in love with Mako. And like he's like, yeah, you want to join my pro bending team?
Well, no, I think we make Mako just her friend. And I think we make the pro bending team like Team Avatar there. Like that's how they become Team Avatars, because they're constantly playing sports together. You know what I mean? And you build that bond for them. And Asami is at first the odd one out. And then like, what does she do? She's the manager for the team. That's how she fits into it. Like I think
really
you make
want that to work, but I think the awkwardness through the rest of the series, like
Again,
seeing her and Mako having to get through the awkwardness of being like, oh
again,
well, we
you
got
never
like,
touch that romance.
I want to. I think it's effective.
Not season
important.
1. Not season 1. We're not. I don't think. I think you can set up
that's why
like
I said season
tones
2.
of it.
This
Yeah,
would be a season 2 thing.
but like season 1, I think we do set up. Oh yeah, I would think Asami needs to be focused as more of a strategist. Helps her have a better spot on the team. Yes, I'm going to start closing us out though, because I could keep talking about this all the live long day. Clearly, I'm passionate about it. So yeah, thank you for watching the or listening to the episode. I'm Connor. What did you say?
Jay Bailey?
Yes, I think so.
You can speak.
I'll figure out. I'll like try to slot it in where I can whenever we catch a breath.
Oh no.
Yeah, you know what? You can do that. That'd work. That works.
I don't want to stop.
But yeah, thank you for listening. Leave us a comment on what your favorite Avatar content is. Actually, just in general, I'd love to know what people's favorite thoughts are, and what is your controversial Avatar opinion. Would love to hear those in the comments. See those go wild. But thank you for listening, and join us next week when who knows what we're talking about, but I think it'll be Jay giving the pitch. So we will see you then.